There's a lot of clans in Naruto, and we only ever get what seems to be a divulged history of two of them, and that's the Senju and the Uchiha. But there's a lot of other clans we're curious about, and I've received dozens of comments asking me to cover specific clans' histories. So let's consider this the start of a little series called The History of Clans. Clan history, the history of Konoha. Konoha clan histories, let's not limit it to Konoha. We're workshopping the name. You know what I'm not workshopping? This plug. So please go ahead and like this video, subscribe to the page, and hit that noti bell. Because if you love learning about history and nerddom, then I'm your guy. Where to start? What clan catches our eye the most of clans that aren't covered? I mean, there's the Naras, there's the Akamichis, there's the Yamanakas, there's Shino's clan, the Abarames. But there's another clan that holds a lot of sway in Konoha. More sway than a lot of those other clans I just listed, but for some reason never gets a fleshed out backstory. And that clan is the Sarutobis. For those of you a little rusty on your Naruto lore, the Sarutobis would be the clan that Hiruzen, Asuma, and Konohamaru all belong to. And they're an incredibly interesting clan, mostly because they have two potential Hokages, and Asuma's one of the most badass characters in the entire show. But on top of that, we see during the war arc that the clan is actually massive and all capable of large style fire release. So what is their history? Well, let's get into what we know. Let's first get into the name Sarutobi. How was it chosen? What is its lineage? What does it mean from outside of the show? The clan's name was actually chosen by Kishimoto to give reverence to a folk tale, a pre-Edo period folk tale from Japan about an incredible ninja named Sasuke Sarutobi. Sasuke Sarutobi was a figure of legend in oral storytelling before the turn of the 17th century when Edo period began. His lore died out because as the Edo period began, other forms of storytelling took over power from oral storytelling of stories that had been passed through generations. His surname, Sarutobi, breaks down actually in English to monkey jump, with Saru, S-A-R-U, meaning monkey, and Tobi, meaning jump, which makes sense because he was known for his monkey-like agility, being able to jump between trees with high amounts of speed and efficiency. In fact, his background is very similar to Tarzan in that a lot of stories of him, he's actually orphaned and then raised by monkeys, which gives him those monkey-like abilities. The legend of Sasuke Sarutobi was so big that actually Hiruzen's father was named after Sasuke Sarutobi and was actually much like his likeness, being incredibly proficient in ninjutsu and strength and speed. In fact, Sasuke Sarutobi was such an incredible ninja that Mikoto Uchiha, Sasuke's mother, named Sasuke after him, hoping that he would also be an incredible ninja. But now that we've talked about how the Sarutobis acquired the name, we should talk about how the Sarutobis came to Konoha. Not a whole lot is known here, except that after the Warring States period, you know, where Senjus and Uchihas were all fighting and then Konoha was formed, the Sarutobi clan was the first of two clans to join Konoha. Ironically, the clan that joined Konoha with the Sarutobi clan was the Shimura clan, whose only known member is Danzo. Because of that, the Sarutobis kind of became, in a sense, Konoha royalty. So much so that in order to strengthen the bond between the Ina Shikacho trios that later came to the village, the Sarutobis were assigned to give each of those trios special earrings and watch over them. In a sense, it was identified that the Ina Shikacho trios would work well together, but there was nothing gelling them outside of compatibility of jutsus. So the Sarutobis, being known for their strength and their affiliation to Konoha, were assigned to make sure that the connection was made. Unfortunately, Kishimoto seems to have forgotten this little bit of lore that he wrote, and he made Moegi, who is not a Sarutobi, the new head of Ino Shikacho and Boruto. Like Konohamaru was right there. Oh, but he's Boruto's big brother. I don't care. Shit, I would have taken Mirai. Regardless, we didn't get that. But we are now talking about important Sarutobis. So let's talk about important Sarutobis in Naruto's lore. Obviously, the most important one that we know of is Hiruzen Sarutobi and his wife Biwaku Sarutobi, who kind of start the Sarutobi clan lineage of that we know. Hiruzen was a very powerful ninja who inherited his father's ability for ninjutsu and then built upon it on his own. He had all 5 chakra natures and yin and yang release. He mastered every single fighting style and ninjutsu of the leaf outside of flying Raishin. But when I say mastered, I mean mastered at the highest level of proficiency. Biwaku, his wife, was actually a medical ninja, and she met him during the first Great Ninja War. Biwaku was actually the midwife who delivered Naruto during, Obito's raid, and was unfortunately cut down by Obito after he defeated all of the Anbu outside of Kushina's, delivery room. But before Biwaku died and before Hiruzen died, they had 2 children. They had Asuma Sarutobi, and then they had Konohamaru's parents. Well, they didn't have both of, they had one of Konohamaru's parents, and then their spouse married in. Listen, there's a lot of weird clan, lineage things going on in Naruto. It's not that bad. And both of these children were also incredibly important to Konoha. Asuma obviously went on to be the next leader of Inoshika-cho, and he went even further than that, becoming one of the 12 guardian ninjas. And if you don't remember what the 12 guardian ninjas are, I can't say I necessarily blame you. They are 12 ninjas chosen from all around the land of fire, whose sole goal is to protect the fire daimyo, or the fire feudal lord. You know that little red waistcloth thing that Asuma wears with the symbol of fire on it? That shows that he is one of the 12 guardian ninjas. And you don't pick the weak ninjas to protect the most important person in the area. No, these were 12 of the strongest ninjas in the land of fire. In fact, they were so strong and so problematic for villains that they acquired massive bounties on their heads in villain undercircles. This is why Hidan and Kakuzo targeted Asuma and his fellow 12 Guardians member, Chiriku. As for Hiruzen's other child, they became an Anbu member where they met their spouse, and then they had Konohamaru down the line. We don't know their name. All we know is that they were assigned to the detail of Anbu that specifically protected Hiruzen. And that brings us to the last generations of Sarutobis that we know of: Konohamaru and Mirai. Konohamaru obviously coming from the nameless Anbu, and Mirai coming from Asuma and Kurenai. Neither of them have necessarily inherited the full strength of the Sarutobi yet, but they're both young. But they also both have what most Sarutobis have, and that is an affinity for fire release. Mirai is able to use her affinity for fire release with her affinity with Genjutsu in order to make very convincing and terrifying Genjutsu illusions. She's also able to use fire release in traditional ways with fireballs and things of that nature. Konohamaru is seen to use his fire release in more traditional ways like Mirai with fireballs, but he's also able to use ash jutsus, which were seen to be only specific to Asuma for a long time. The Sarutobi's use of fire release actually reflects their inner feelings very accurately. The Sarutobis are considered the most ardent supporters of the will of fire out of all of the clans in Konoha. It's why Hiruzen talked about it so much. It's why Asuma talked about it so much. And they use this will of fire to amass in the war arc, and we saw almost 50 of them use fire chakra release in order to quickly cool off and dry the quicklime that was supposed to hold the 10 tails down. This was an insane moment for us, because for all that we know, there wasn't that many Sarutobis, but this implied to us that their clan was almost as large as the Ambarames. So while a lot of their clan history might be a mystery to us, it's awesome to know that they're still there, fervently protecting the leaf. And since we'll most likely see Konohamaru become the Hokage after Naruto, it's awesome to see that they still have a hand in the building of Konoha's future. And unfortunately, that's all we know about them. I wish I knew more, but if you liked all the information I was able to convey, please like this video, subscribe to the page, and hit that noti bell, because we have a lot of other clans to cover, and I want you to know when they're out. Listen, I would want to be a Senju, but something about my personality makes me feel like I would end up being a Sarutobi. I don't know, what clan do you guys think I would belong to? Let me know in the comments. Oh, and of course, what would this entire video be without talking about monkeys? I was like this close to forgetting. We actually don't know a huge amount about why the Sarutobis have a connection with the monkey summonings. I mean, obviously Sasuke Sarutobi, who their clan is based off, had a connection with monkeys, and therefore kind of makes sense in terms of the writing to make them have a connection with monkeys. But we don't actually know why Hiruzen has a connection with Monkey King Enma. All we know is that it seems as though they've been together almost their entire lives. We don't even know where the monkeys live. We know they're arguably the most strong summon in the entire show, being able to turn into an adamantite staff that is literally the strongest material in the entire show, and they can still do ninjutsu while in this form, which means they can do shadow clones, which means they can make multiple of themselves, which means they can, I don't know, stop deep forest emergence from Hashirama, which is insane. But as to why the Sarutobis are the only people who get to summon them, I'm assuming it has to do something with Sasuke Sarutobi, Hiruzen's father, but that's all speculation.